Are excited, and with good reason. Both these sides impressed in the group stage, to say the least. El Salvador is a runners-up, and Qatar was a group winner, but now you essentially wipe all that away and look forward to a bracket that will see the winner of this fixture face the winner of the U.S. and Jamaica. For Qatar, maybe the best game of the tournament thus far was a back-and-forth affair against Panama. There was no back and forth against Grenada or Honduras. Dominant performances with late goals for Qatar. For El Salvador, they won their first two matches against Guatemala and Trinidad and Tobago, and with the group title on the line against Mexico, they fell 1-0. There is a party-like atmosphere in this venue tonight, and while certainly more fans will make their way in as El Tri prepares for their match this evening against Honduras, you could say both these sides have so very much to prove here tonight. This is a Qatari side that looks forward to the chance to host the 2022 World Cup. They're the reigning Asian Cup champions, and they did play in CONMEBOL's Copa America. But the chance to come here and play against Concacaf came with a very simplistic goal, in theory, to see as many different styles of play as possible, and not only do a bit of barnstorming ahead of hosting the world's greatest football competition, but also prove they belong on that stage. For El Salvador, that's the man that's brought belief to an entire country. El Salvador has changed their style and their commitment drastically over the course of the past 12 months with Hugo Perez at the helm. He arrived in January. He's lost just 2 of 11 games, and their high-pressing, offensive-minded style has won over the hearts of most in El Salvador. If they were to win today against Qatar, it would be one of the greater achievements of the modern El Salvador football era, certainly since the turn of the millennium. It's their first quarterfinal since falling in penalties to Panama in 2011. Flags of El Salvador and Qatar hang all about this venue in Glendale, Arizona. This Gold Cup quarterfinal is filled with intrigue in that no one knows what to expect from El Salvador. Perhaps they've arrived at this point sooner than anticipated, and a Qatari side that most everybody didn't know what to expect. A mystery in theory, but a side packed with experience and title-winning aspirations, not only in Asia, but going so very much further now to North America, Central America, and the Caribbean in CONCACAF. These are not sides that play without a blue sky overhead all that often, but there is a dome, and it's the only thing that's going to keep this match from spewing sky high. The offensive potential is simply off the charts. Two sides that are simply convinced that their offensive style is the way to win. Qatar, El Salvador have taken the field, and the anthem soon to come at the quarterfinals of the Concacaf Gold Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Qatar.
Damas y caballeros, les pedimos ponerse de pie para el himno nacional de Qatar.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of El Salvador.
Damas y caballeros, les pedimos mantenerse en el pie para el himno nacional de El Salvador.
It is for the Salvadoran anthem that percussion majors dream. The woodwinds and the percussion is over, and now the game begins. Felix Sanchez sending out this starting 11 for Qatar. This is a back line that turns to a 21-year-old left back in Ahmed. If you're young enough, you're good enough. Hassan, 107 caps, anchors the back line. Hatim is critical in midfield. Boudieff is the most experienced of the bunch in the middle three with 94 caps. 5 goals among the front three in this tournament thus far: Afif, Ali, and Al-Haidous. With Barsham trying to solidify his position as the first choice. As the World Cup nears, the only side that's guaranteed their place at the Qatari World Cup is indeed the host country. Fernando Hernandez of Mexico works his 3rd game in this Gold Cup. Has indeed shown red just once. Did see time as a referee in Concacaf Nations League in 2019 as well. Oversaw Suriname and Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Guadeloupe in the preliminary round as well. Al-Haidous and Suren meet with the officials. This is a game that will have VAR available. This is the first edition of the Gold Cup where VAR is part of the proceedings. Arturo Cruz of Mexico, Juan Rangel of Mexico, his assistant. The lineup for Hugo Perez of El Salvador: it's Mario Gonzalez in the back, has allowed just 2 goals in the preceding 7 caps. He debuted in June for the side. Laren, plenty of experience out on the left, but there's plenty of inexperience between the center backs. They entered the tournament with just 9 appearances between them. Roldan, key in midfield, new to the side, born in the United States, debuted in this tournament. Moreno and Henriquez lead the line up front. 1 goal in their international careers combined. It was Henriquez scoring in the 2-0 win against Trinidad and Tobago in the second group stage fixture. Felix Sanchez is a 45-year-old Spaniard, led the side since 2017. 35 wins in that time, 16 losses, 10 draws. Hugo Perez is an American Soccer Hall of Famer. Born in El Salvador, the 57-year-old was named manager January 11th and has had very few bumps in the road. These two sides did meet in Croatia on July the 4th. Qatar won 1-0. It was Almoez Ali who scored. And now, 3 weeks later, El Salvador and Qatar meet with much higher aspirations and a much bigger weight on their shoulders. Qatar, the guest country, their first appearance in the Gold Cup. Guest countries have reached the final, they've never won it all. El Salvador has been a finalist in Concacaf just once. The first of our 4 Gold Cup quarterfinals are underway. We begin in Glendale with Qatar and El Salvador. El Salvador in white move right to left in this opening half. Ball flung forward. It was believed among the media pundits that neither of these sides really have any semblance of we're going to sit in and allow the game to progress. Simply the expectation is they're both out to score and do so early. It was Hassan with a brilliant tackle, leads out to Afif. If there was any question about Qatar's bona fides to be invited as a guest country, they have quickly answered them. Their 3-3 draw against Panama featured 3 go-ahead goals and 3 Panamanian equalizers. Ended up splitting the spoils, but against Grenada and Honduras, Qatar looked the better throughout and earned the 6 points that saw them top of Group D. Larin reverses Gomez. Alexander Larin. Henriquez. Seren gave it away too cheaply. The run is on here for Qatar. It's away, Hatim, and this rolled outside. Caught between the feet, and this is an incredible start for Qatar. It's Ali in 95 seconds. He was their talisman at the Asian Cup. He has proven to be just that again at the Gold Cup. It is disaster for El Salvador. A cheap giveaway. Marwin Seren able to get a piece of that, but not nearly enough. And Afif carried the other way, and with Hatim rolling in behind in the overlapping run of Almoez Ali, Qatar grabs the opener in shocking fashion. It is his 3rd goal of the tournament, tied for most. And the grimace from the Salvadoran faces tell a unique story. And Almoez Ali scores the latest in a series of goals over the last 2 years that have caused Qatari hearts to swell. Free kick won by Moreno. Plays in the American Second Division, the USL Championship in New Mexico United. Side that just today, 1 state over from Arizona, has announced a new stadium. About 15,000 folks. A free kick for El Salvador. And the same fans that were wiping tears from their eyes as the anthem played are hoping for a jubilant recovery. Ronald Gomez stands behind the ball. Barsham sets the wall. And with Mexican fans looking on, and a smattering of Qatari, the majority of Salvadoran fans, can El Salvador quickly answer? They have gone for goal, and with the deflection, this will ring out wide from Alexander Larin. Corner El Salvador. Hugo Perez said there is no pressure, and El Salvador Certainly that has been talked about ad nauseum. He said in the hotel there's great food. There's some who are struggling to eat. Not the case for this El Salvador side. As such, pressure carries a different inclination. Pedro Miguel plays back and Qatar into possession. 5 minutes gone. Qatar grabs the opener 95 seconds into the match. Almoez Ali in the 2nd minute. Laren. Recovered by Alhedus. It was momentary. Sprung wide, Tamakis. Beyond Alhedus. There's such a concentration of crimson jerseys central. Can Tamakis help to break this down for El Salvador? It's returned to Afif. And now carried forward by Qatar. Rolled through by Ali. Covered by El Salvador. For El Salvador, that's only the 2nd goal they've conceded in this tournament. Shutout wins against Guatemala and Trinidad and Tobago before a 1-0 loss in front of what was arguably a partisan Salvadoran crowd at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. A famed venue that had so many fans packed in, they actually opened the upper deck as the game progressed. And in a venue that is so often seen, a multitude of Mexican fans, it's been argued that El Salvador actually had more fanatics in the building favoring them. Lost to Qatar. Ahead for Afif. The overlap for Roro was denied. Afif. Pedro Miguel. Hatim. Hatim! It's a magical Qatari goal. Abdulaziz Hatim has scored the goal of the tournament. He's not known as a goal scorer, but with time and space and an inkling onto his favored right and a magnificent strike. He leans just perfectly. And as sweet a finish as imaginable. 8th minute, Abdulaziz Hatim has doubled the Qatari delight. And El Salvador certainly must be shell-shocked. Foul from Boudieff. Laren places the ball, begins again. Almoez Ali and the referee Fernando Hernandez aren't finished with this discussion yet. And to Hassan Alhedus' credit, pushing his teammate away from the confrontation. Enriquez, away by Pedro Miguel. Throw El Salvador. What an odd game it was in Croatia. It was the first trip for El Salvador to Europe in 22 years 3 weeks ago. It was the Qatari pre-Gold Cup camp. Qatar won it 1-0. They did so down a player 70 minutes. And it was Hatim who was sent off in that game. And Ali who scored the game winner. Well, it's Ali who scored, and Hatim has added a second. Referee will have further words here. Now Qatar builds once more. Build has been the word, build toward the World Cup. A country that doesn't have the most impressive footballing history, and yet you could argue that the past decade has far and away been their best. This broke down with a trio of Salvadoran attackers across midfield, and as Qatar regains possession, there was an injury behind the play. And it is Al-Haydous, their captain, whose smile brightens even the biggest room. Challenged by Roldan. Leaves Al-Haydous stricken inside a dozen minutes. Al-Haydous, who's won the Qatari title in the Qatari Stars League 3 times now. The opening goal, a piece not enough off the toes of Gonzalez. Ali the opener, and then Hatim with a goal for the ages for Qatar, doubling the advantage and putting El Salvador to the sword far earlier than they ever could have anticipated. Which is not to say Abdul Aziz Hatim has not scored goals of significance before. He was on the Asian Cup Best 11. They won the title in 2019. And Al-Haydous does appear to have some blood. Laceration to the lower lip. It will be a drop ball for Qatar after the 2-minute layoff due to the injury to Al-Haydous. Of errors early in possession for Qatar, really put to the test by El Salvador. And El Salvador has paid a simply unthinkable price. One back here by Al-Haydous, and this sets up a shot that Gonzalez wipes wide. Afif rolls, cleared. Little fall for Boudieff. Overlap arrives. The whip ball is caught by Gonzalez, who simply has never seen an onslaught like this in his short time as the national team first choice. Makes his 9th save of the tournament. Given away by Joshua Perez, the nephew of the Salvadoran head coach, Hugo. Salvador, this proud history dating back to 1921, and to 2 World Cups, but most recently 1982. Make a run in this tournament is a major step. Moreno. Was a good read. Nothing more from Perez. Short of Afif. Seren All this space for Tamakis. Larin. Henriquez. Jesus maintains. Ahmed. Fif flicking his leg in between legs of Tamakis. Certainly there's worthy conjecture about Qatar off the field, but on the field they've made quite clear they've belonged at Copa America. Some decent performances there. Here in the Gold Cup, they arrived as one of the top 8 FIFA-ranked teams, and indeed it was the top 8 teams in the FIFA rankings that found their way into the Gold Cup quarterfinals. The only side that will not feature in the quarterfinal that will in the World Cup qualifying octagonal is the Panamanian side that Qatar went nose-to-nose with to begin the Gold Cup. A 3-3 draw. Abdul Karim Hassan ground. He passed 100 caps back in March. Most often plays as a left back. He's playing as the left center back in 4 for Qatar thus far in this tournament. Allows Ahmed to get way up the field, and such is the case now. Afif. Al-Haydous. Afif. This will find Miguel. Pedro Miguel. El Salvador won't need to atone this time. Al-Haydous. Hatim. His goal in the 8th minute will certainly make rounds in hours, days to come. It was Qatar's second. They opened the scoring in less than 100 seconds. And they've given El Salvador quite the mountain to climb in the valley, as they call the area around Phoenix, in the American Southwest of Arizona, where the temperatures this time of year, had the roof been open, oftentimes reach triple digits, which perhaps would make Qatar feel a bit more at home in theory. Bit of a give and go here. Moreno. Hassan. Larin. Dices a diagonal for Tamakis. That's a goal kick for Qatar. It really shouldn't be much surprise at all how Qatar has fared here. Take away the fact that they're Asian Cup champs. Their form now 11 on the bounce without defeat, dating back to November against South Korea. Afif. Taken to midfield by Alex Roldan. Perez. Nowhere to go. Switches the point. Laren, who stars at Comunicaciones, joined the side in Guatemala just this year. Flag is down for now, and the attack is on for El Salvador. Hassan trying to hold out. And Joshua Perez is playing in the Spanish 3rd Division at present, one of the former U.S. youth internationals on this side. Sends it scatter shot out of play. This side of the bracket offers so much intrigue in this 2021 Concacaf Gold Cup. Pedro Miguel. Miguel hit the post and goes screaming out of play. There comes a point where you're willing to try your luck. Most everything has worked to this point. Almoez Ali getting his boot down in the nick of time. Then Pedro Miguel trying to pick out the far post. He did so almost too well. Qatar has their eyes on either Jamaica or the U.S., who will play in Arlington, Texas tomorrow in the corresponding quarterfinal. Winners move on to Austin, Texas, and the new Q2 Stadium, home of Austin FC. It's already played host to the U.S. women's national team. Also play host to an American World Cup qualifier. Miguel to the back post, and away by Tamakis with a lurking Pomam Ahmed. Conversely, on the other side of the bracket, Mexico and Honduras meet later tonight here. Costa Rica and Canada meet in the early game tomorrow in Arlington. The winner of those matches go to NRG Stadium in Houston. Corner, Qatar. They have gone short. Afif. There's room here. Hassan. A fluttering ball that El Salvador has taken down. Rolled out by Joaquin Rivas. Lost by Moreno. Throw El Salvador. Moreno once more. He did debut against Qatar in Croatia 3 weeks ago for El Salvador. Henriquez is seeking ball. Finally brought a bit of energy out of this El Salvador partisan crowd. Moreno. Almoez Ali. Space to explore here. It's explored no further. It's Ahmed. What's especially intriguing about Qatar is that their entire roster plays domestically in Qatar, in the Qatari Stars League. Afif chasing. El Salvador has figured out that initial trap. Rivas. Ball across, Moreno. Henriquez chasing at the back post on the flick on. Laren. Suren. It's his error that unlocked El Salvador for Qatar's first goal in the second minute. El Salvador just now starting to find their sea legs after what had to be a demoralizing start. Gomez. Larin. Alheidus. Free kick, El Salvador. Karim Boudieff. In behind there. Rolled on. The lateral movement of Qatar has left El Salvador's wingers perplexed. Conversely, middle of the field with Hassan leading the way has been so structurally sound to this point that there's been no room to operate between the lines. Larin working quickly. The give off. Maybe there's something here for Moreno. Away from the line, Hassan. Well, the flag finally does go up, and you give the AR credit with the addition of VAR to this tournament. They will allow the play to see itself out. And indeed, clearly this goal would have never counted had it found the net. Impressive cover nonetheless after an unimpressive effort by Moreno. Michel Barsham started 18 games, most of his career for Al Sadd, most recent Qatari domestic season. And after 3 years waiting among the Qatari under-23s, he's arrived on the biggest stage he's seen thus far. He's lived up to it, albeit just 5 saves through 3 games. Not all that much work for Qatar's goalkeeper. You could argue that Hassan, the center back, has earned himself significant consideration for the best 11 of this tournament. And Hassan is there once more. Back by Boudieff. Afif. Back pass is intercepted. This is struck from a long way out. Hits off the ab boards from Joaquin Rivas. Rivas looking for a homecoming of sorts. He grew up in Santa Ana in El Salvador, but 4 years playing at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, colloquially UNLV. The final in this tournament will be in Paradise, Nevada, off the Vegas Strip. Indeed, a free kick. Nothing on the ball there from Al-Rawi. Gomez. Gomez on the lineup card, Rodriguez on the jersey. Larin. Enriquez battles into space with a fine step over. He's ceded possession to Miguel. Rolled on. Into the channel, Tamakis, rolled on. Tamakis wins a Salvadoran corner. El Salvador sucker punched inside 2 minutes. It's a side that will be in the World Cup qualifying octagonal in Concacaf. They've also earned promotion in the Nations League A. Moreno headed down by Zavaleta. Compass points straight up for El Salvador. And yet it's games like this that fans will harp on as they seek to return to the glory years. Rolled on. Soren. Laren. Moreno. Good win of the ball by Al-Rawi. Covered by Al-Hedus. Unlocking Afif. Akram Afif. Doing it by his lonesome, now flicks across, and a wonderful scissoring effort to send that away. Al-Hedus for Hatim, but taken on by Gonzalez. Well, Laren with a masterful stroke. Keep this away from Roro, otherwise perhaps he's uncorking a second shot toward the back post. He did hit that post less than 20 minutes ago. Say what you want about the scoreline, but neither side has backed off their principles to this point. Gomez. Zavaleta joins him in the back line. Zavaleta debuting for the national team earlier this calendar year. Enriquez. Anything less than perfection from Kuki would have been disastrous there for Qatar. Zavaleta for Tamakis. Skipped over Afif. Laren. Roldan seeking the wide area. There's a throw for Tamakis. Tamakis, one of 2 changes for El Salvador. Rang off of Al-Hedus from Roldan. Perez. Laren. Gomez, who plays for Aguila in El Salvador. Oh, from Kuki. Debuted in 2013, 3 years after Algeria called him into the under-23s. And this is a creative spin by Enriquez to open up space. Rivas, another corner. And El-Rawi has caught the wrong end of that. A native of Baghdad in Iraq. Moved to Qatar as a child. Enriquez. Header looping, snagged calmly by Barsham. The attack continues. Almoez Ali. The slide by Gomez disrupted, and Zavaleta puts an end to the attack. Afif. This will skip all the way through and hammered it goal. Gonzalez sends it away and Boudieff denied. The French-born midfielder having a lash at target off the half volley. Circumnavigates from Kuki back to Barsham. Pedro Miguel. Header back to Gonzalez was more simple in execution than theory from Zavaleta. El Salvador's 10th Gold Cup, runners-up twice in the Concacaf Championships. They have not made it to the final round of World Cup qualifying in over a decade, but that's certainly changed. There's the bounding ball at Gonzalez, and that smack off the turf just a couple yards out in front of Boudieff complicated things a bit. So El Salvador will go into the now octagonal as opposed to the hexagonal. The upcoming World Cup qualifying campaign that begins in September. Three and a half slots allocated the upcoming World Cup to CONCACAF. So the top three finishers in the octagonal punch their ticket to join Qatar when the time is right. Header down. Can El Salvador find something here before halftime? They shot themselves in the foot on the opening goal. Second goal by Hatim, spectacular in and of itself. Enriquez dances through one. This will bounce closer to goal. It's sent back toward Laren. And as Laren steps on the ball, play will come back to the injury to Pedro Miguel. Not a bad slaloming effort by Henriquez. And there's an argument to be made, although with the bicep close to the torso, not sure that it's much of a shout at all. That could have been a handball inside the penalty area there from Qatar. Certainly you could argue that there was no intent. Felix Sanchez looks on. Any conversation about the growth of the Qatari national team begins and ends with him. Look at how Qatar has built their 2-goal lead. Almoez Ali, and then Abdulaziz Hatim. 2nd minute, 8th minute, and a shot heard around the world. Leaves El Professor, El General, in a state of disbelief, which is unique to El Salvador right now. It did feel like belief was creeping into this side, that they were the team of destiny in this tournament. Such a hard-fought 1-0 defeat at the hands of El Tri, Mexico. It felt like portions of that first half were uphill to say the least, but in the second half, El Salvador showed a bit more of their capability. Attack on here for El Salvador. The clearance is a poor one. Perez, Hatim chasing, Roldan allows out. Corner El Salvador. Set pieces thus far have been a fruitless task for the Salvadoran side, trailing 2-0. They've had the vast majority of the opportunities on set pieces. Can they turn one in their favor? Armando Moreno. Zavaleta. Still El Salvador. Into a wide area. This will ricochet down. Boudieff over Afif. Falls for Laren. Armando Moreno making himself available in the pocket, but shadowed as he has been all night. Darwin Soren. Less than 20 caps to the Salvadoran record. Back to Perez. Perez swinging his shoulders, and in steps Alheidus, Afif, Ali, Alheidus. Zavaleta trots into position. The slide in by Soren, a rare intervention on his part in this first half. Tamakis denied, cleared by Ahmed. Afif making the central run. He's slowed, Hatim available. Boudieff. Hatim curls an epic ball over the top. The header is somehow wide. Almoez Ali is known to score those. What a clever ball in behind, and it's simply malaise defensively from El Salvador that left him onside to begin with. Rolled on. Armando Moreno circulates back. Zavaleta, Soren, Laren. Shouldn't be much stoppage time at all. Moreno, finally room to run. Shifting through, sought Perez. And Jairo Enriquez leaking down the line to his left as well. Armando Moreno once more. Good read of the ball, carried forward by Kuki. Alheidus. Hit from behind. Alheidus and Perez make good, but it's Perez going into the book. And a look at Ali. Came so close to making it 3. Perez, the first player booked in this game. 3 additional minutes to close the first half. Well, if Qatar gets a third, it's seemingly unthinkable, and El Salvador finds a way back. This is a vital moment. Careens off a wall of 3 from Kuki. Willem Kuki playing for Al Sadd. One of 6 in the starting 11. You can say the same for Qatar. The pressure from El Salvador at times has gotten home. There's been no free space here for Qatar. Gonzalez. Giving back to Ahmed. Hassan. Zavaleta. Played for Toronto FC going back to 2015. In his first major tournament for El Salvador. Moreno helps to keep it. Henriquez unable to break. It's been a difficult to defeat Qatari back line. And perhaps you could argue that El Salvador let Qatar off the hook there, and that probably is a pretty fair estimation of the Salvadoran fan base at present. Hugo Perez is going to have a lot to say, one would think, at halftime about how to make possession more valuable in the final third. Not much in that foul at all. Salvador does have some juice in their legs here in the final 30 seconds of stoppage time. Wait for the last opportunity. What's been on its face not a terrible half. The goals certainly have changed the game. El Salvador didn't come here for moral victories. Moreno, that sends us to halftime. Goals from Almoez Ali and a worldie of a goal from Abdulaziz Hatim. El Salvador create their own problem in the second minute of play. Ball that sneaks under their captain, Darwin Suren. The second, however, simply unsavable. Is El Salvador unsavable at this point? Those glasses will go on, and the chalkboard will need to be Hugo Perez's friend. They need to find more in the final third. Qatar in their first Gold Cup quarterfinal. The debutante, the guest country, has once again proven their value. 2 goals up at halftime in Glendale. Qatar 2, El Salvador 0. State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona for this Gold Cup quarterfinal, the first of 4 over the next 2 days. Qatar with a 2-goal advantage. El Salvador more the possession, and let's be frank, if they had made more of it in the final third and had one less error, perhaps this is a very different story. But right now, the story is simple. Qatar 2, El Salvador 0. First half highlights from Glendale, Arizona, and the State Farm Stadium, home to Super Bowls, Gold Cups, Copa America, and oh so much more. Qatar, the guest country debutantes, wasted no time spoiling what was a largely Salvadoran party in pregame. 95 seconds all it took. Almoez Ali bags a goal in the 2nd minute of play. It all starts with an error from Darwin Soren at midfield. Afif carries the load. A team holds up play. Afif arrives, and Ali drives it by Gonzalez. It is a nightmarish start for El Salvador, who came in speaking of belief that this could be the turning point. Instead, the opening inflection point belongs to Qatar. 1 goal up in 2 minutes' time. Pedro Miguel helping to create the space from which Abdul Aziz Hatim scores the goal of the tournament thus far. A 20-yard banger. He hit this where Gonzalez had no chance to catch it. A magnificent strike. Nearly blows a hole in the nylon. And Abdul Aziz Hatim in the 8th minute makes it 2-0 to Qatar. And a side that is so proud to host the World Cup hope to hoist a Gold Cup in the interim. El Salvador had far more of the possession, but it's moments like this, the quick strike capability of Pedro Miguel slamming this off the far post. It certainly had to give El Salvador a pause as they went forward. Qatar simply too much to handle for El Salvador in the first half. It is Qatar 2, El Salvador 0.
Scotiabank participaron orgullosos en la Copa Oro de Concacaf 2021 por su fútbol. Sigue a Adidas en el Copa sus futuros. Sigue a Scotiabank Fútbol Club en Facebook para conocer más de las iniciativas en torno al fútbol.
El Salvador retakes the field in Glendale, Arizona, 2 goals down at halftime in this Gold Cup quarterfinal to Qatar, the guest country. Armando Moreno clapping, but there likely wasn't a very positive speech at halftime. So much of the conversation for El Salvador is belief in their style of play. They possessed, they were unafraid to press in moments, but Qatar's ability to counter with such veracity and their ability to absorb pressure and seemingly come no closer to breaking than when El Salvador was in their own half. It's left El Salvador without much resolution at halftime. Can they find their way back in, give themselves a chance to move on to Austin for the semifinal against either the United States or Jamaica? For Qatar, reigning Asian Cup champion, they arrived with a resume commensurate with a high-level guest country. The expectation being that this would be the perfect way for them to prepare for the upcoming World Cup. What they have since proven is that their front three is nearly without parallel in this tournament, and their ability to quickly get from one end of the field to the other, springing counters left and right, has left all 4 of their opponents at this point at times dumbstruck and at other times awestruck. Now the question, can they see this through, move on? Whistle blows to begin the second half. Qatar and El Salvador. These sides met July the 4th in Croatia. El Salvador's first trip to Europe in over 2 decades. It was Qatar that won a goal to 0. The goal from Ali. Hatim was sent off in the 20th minute 3 weeks ago. Hatim has scored an outstanding goal here tonight. The ball across for Afif. Al-Haidous taken off by Suren. Qatar is unchanged at halftime. Driven ball across. Tamakis out over the line. Tamakis and Moreno were the changes for El Salvador coming into the night. That does mean Narciso Orellana and Marvin Monterosa are available off the bench. But will it be personnel alone that turns the tide here? El Salvador's 39th Gold Cup game, their 6th in the knockout stage. They have never won and never advanced. Afif. Afif allows this out. El Salvador without changes at halftime as well. Afif. Armando Moreno. Al-Haidous. I would imagine El Salvador will give this group another 5-10 minutes. See if they start to turn the tide here. You do have a very young attacking core available off the bench. Marvin Marquez is never capped. Juan Carlos Portillo, a bit more experience. His second Gold Cup. Walmer Martinez as well. Free kick here for Qatar, and they'll make simple work of it. Budiev. Ahmed. Crunching tackle by Perez. Free kick, Qatar. Perez needs to be exceedingly careful. He's the only player on a card right now. Based off that, I think he's got a fair point. It's just important now that he doesn't talk himself into another. And his uncle looks on stoically. Our new favorite fan from El Salvador. Far from the only one. Trumpets and drums cascading through this venue. One that holds over 60,000. And will get much closer to capacity as El Tri prepares to take on Honduras. Second game of this quarterfinal doubleheader outside Phoenix, Arizona. Akram Afif looks on, former La Liga player. Afif, caught by Gonzalez. Recovered by Budiev. Hassan. Afif from a team there. Turn down the return. Ahmed. Budiev. Al-Rawi. The pressure from Moreno is misguided. There were some pundits who said that they had never seen a team press Mexico the way El Salvador did. Sure, it ended in a 1-0 defeat. They felt like they controlled large stretches of the match against the side deemed by many to be the favorite. Mexico themselves have shrugged off that moniker and the pressure that comes with it. Such is the nature of being a giant in Concacaf for the stretch of time that Mexico has. Mexico's on the other side of the bracket. Surely Qatar would like their shot. Ball rolled ahead. Flag is down for now. Slipped beyond Hassan into the waiting hands of Barsham. Well, Afif got bowled over, and the only question was whether Tamakis would be penalized for it. He was. It's the end of the night for Perez. Spent some time at Fiorentina and a bit of time at LAFC as well in MLS. Stad Giovanni talked about a bit less than his uncle Hugo. But the 23-year-old has a bright future now in El Salvador. He's given way to Marvin Monterosa in the 52nd minute. First change by either side. Afif. Far too much room. Everybody backing away. Afif. Ali was waiting. Got a shot away. And now Alheidus. Alheidus was claiming that deflected off an arm. And the referee will take his time before allowing play to begin again. Here's Ali, who is trailing. Well, VAR hasn't been used yet tonight, but look at the extended arm of Seren. Is that enough to draw a penalty? This will be reviewed. So they will check for a handball in the penalty area from Darwin Seren, who for now is having a night he'd surely like to forget. The VAR hails from Mexico, as does our referee. Fernando Hernandez is looking at these exact images you see on your screen now, with Arturo Cruz in his ear. Here's the effort by Almoez Ali, who scored back in the 2nd minute. This goes up off the wrist of Seren. The referee has seen enough. Fernando Hernandez, penalty. And a yellow card to Seren as well. And this may be the death knell for El Salvador. You can argue this is unlucky for Seren. That's certainly the argument he's making. He's gone into the book. He's ceded a penalty that could see Qatar up 3 goals. Almoez Ali looks for his 4th goal. It would lead all scorers in this Gold Cup, as was the case when he led Qatar to the Asian Cup title in 2019. And the internal monologue whispered softly. Ali, his 4th of the tournament, Qatar up 3-0. And they may be Austin bound for a semifinal. Unsavable. Side netting. Gonzalez had that all the way. But without arms made of elastic, Ali was always going to score that. And Qatar continue to show their teeth at this Gold Cup. Second of the game for Almoez Ali, 4th of the tournament. And for El Salvador, they're looking for a miracle. Ball ripped at target. Finally, a shot on goal from Joaquin Rivas. And the Salvadoran attack, it's stopped by Barsham. El Salvador at this stage has nothing to lose by pressing all the way from the goal kick. Knock at the heels of Kuki. What a way to look at the tactical progression. The press that does benefit from Afif's poor touch. Phoenix has long been a celebrated international venue in Concacaf on the U.S.-Mexico border. Bouncing ball through here for El Salvador. Can they get one back? They sought Rivas. And the offside flag arrives late in the play. And rightfully so. This is actually a market in which Major League Soccer has never dabbled. Phoenix does have a second division side, Phoenix Rising, owned in part by Didier Drogba, who finished his professional career here. He was actually in attendance at the 2017 Gold Cup quarterfinal at this venue. The referee going to try and restore some order. Actually, from that game, Kevin Lambert, who just started to shine for Jamaica, earned a contract for Didier Drogba's team based in large part on his performance in the game played here. El Salvador, one of the teams that's always been an allure. International sides. Moreno crossing. Big collision between Enriquez and Barsham. Finally, we're seeing El Salvador with a bit more force in the final third. You could argue it's too little, too late. Kuki put that out of play. And with Barsham down, the referee calling for the athletic trainer. We'll look at what occurred about 6 minutes ago. After use of a video assistant referee, Fernando Hernandez deeming a handball. Darwin Seren went into the book. Almoez Ali in the 55th minute gave Qatar a 3-goal advantage. And now with half an hour to go, they try and salt out the remaining time. Ali now the leading scorer of this Gold Cup, and 2 in this first knockout stage game of the tournament. Monterosa is waiting to take the free corner rather. Barsham will stay in after the collision with Enriquez. Monterosa, and this header is off target. Enriquez on the other end, it would have needed nothing less than perfection to beat Barsham from there. Patin. Early ball is handled by Gonzalez. Afif. Gonzalez. Rolled on. His brother Christian playing for the U.S. Already the media had speculated about the possibility of 2 brothers meeting in the Gold Cup semifinal. Should the U.S. and El Salvador arrive to that point, now seems like a very distant possibility. Ahmed Alhedus, Afif. Afif went down, referee looks in, says play on. Monterosa. Zavaleta. Tamakis. Moreno. Son unafraid to leak off the back line. One wonders how different this game could have been, and David Ragamas been available for El Salvador. Field of a goal every 2 games. Ball at Moreno, and a chance for Rivas to grab one for El Salvador. This crowd is alive. El Salvador perhaps have restored some belief. 3-1. All that possession, and it seemed like Qatar's center backs have been almost impossible to beat. Hassan is a step behind the back. And it opens the door for Rivas to split through the legs of Barsham. And the pride of FC Tulsa to the northeast of Phoenix delivers for El Salvador a much-needed shot in the arm. El Salvador will make 2 changes now, pursuing the 2 goals they need to keep their dream alive. Walmer Martinez will replace Enriquez up front. 2 changes are in the offing momentarily for Qatar as well. Qatar gave up 3 separate leads against Panama. Finished 3-3. Could this game possibly feature that many twists and turns down the stretch? That's a half-hearted ball. Ahmed. Moreno will press. Away from Almoez Ali, whose 3rd goal the 55th minute seemed to be the nail in El Salvador's coffin. Suddenly, that doesn't seem quite so certain. Tamakis. El Salvador had a drastic advantage in possession, but Qatar seemed unbreakable in the back. But now, have they opened the floodgates when so desperately needed? The slide in, look at this from Tamakis, rolls it back, Rivas! It's unthinkable! It's El Salvador on the front foot and back within 1. This felt done and dusted. There was hardly any work to do, but Tamakis never gave up. And Rivas, with a calm beyond his years, delivers the biggest goal of his Salvadoran international career, shattering any belief that Qatar could walk this over the line. And this venue that is packed with Salvadoran fans, finally, after so much suffering, feel like there is indeed a road back. Changes now for Qatar. Afif off. They've brought on Mohamed Montari. Homam Ahmed off as well. And Rivas grabbing some of the most important tallies of his life. And put simply, this is not over yet. Gonzalez, Laren, rolled ahead by Martinez. This would defy logic. Moreno! Someone has a chance to play hero. This crowd, it seems so disheveled and despondent, are now fully in tune and on the edge of their seats. Joaquin Rivas bags 2 goals in 4 minutes. And the possession that El Salvador had suddenly seems so much more convincingly troublesome for Qatar. They've traveled around the world to play in this tournament, and it seemed like a cakewalk into the semifinal once they went up 3 goals. And while the possession margin is slimmed since halftime, El Salvador has so drastically improved their forcefulness in the final third. Walmer Martinez pursues, and he did foul Roro Miguel. Another dangerous ball back, and no one's going to come out of that challenge happy. Joaquin Rivas shown yellow at the back of Kuki. El Salvador has seen 3 hat tricks scored at their expense in the Gold Cup. Brian McBride, Walter Centeno, and Javier Chicharito Hernandez. As far as legends go for the U.S., Costa Rica, and Mexico, you can argue those are right at the top of the list. And Joaquin Rivas trying to be the first for El Salvador to do that job. He has now tied Rodolfo Zelaya for most goals in the knockout stage in El Salvador's history. Somewhat remarkable in theory. And his 3 goals in the tournament, now 1 behind Almoez Ali for most in this Gold Cup. Leaves Qatar 3-2 up. Salvador is probing. Moreno, Rivas, Rivas! It won't count, it is offside. It was nearly the hat-trick goal that would have been his crowning achievement. and it's by such a slim margin. Hugo Perez speaking to the fourth official. VAR will not be necessary. And anytime you have a moment of jubilation like that, you wonder if it can ever truly be attained again. Well, whatever you thought based on the prior result in Croatia 3 weeks ago between these sides, 1-0 Qatari win in which they played down a man for 70 minutes. Throw it out the window. Qatar has played 2 of the most entertaining matches of this tournament. They're looking for a fourth who would reassert dominance. The slide in, this is a goal kick. There's an argument for Miguel to go into the book for simulation by these Salvadoran players. Conversely, I think you can argue that the best thing Gomez can do is walk away from this, as he nearly caught his back foot in a way that could have seeded another penalty. Taken away, Al-Hedus. Al-Hedus once more from Miguel. Budiev. Hassan. El Salvador still has 3 subs and 1 window. For Qatar, they have 3 subs, 2 windows. They'll make one of the changes now. Let's allow you to soak this in one more time, because Abdul Aziz Hatim comes out after that master stroke in the 8th minute. Crowd roars here as El Salvador crosses into the Qatari half. Denied from Monterosa. Asim Madibo comes in, born in Qatar to a Sudanese family, time in Austria, Spain, and Belgium, as well as France, before coming to the Aspire Academy. Latter 3 stops occurring after his time in France and coming into the Aspire Academy. This will bounce into midfield. This is the first game in which extra time can be a factor in this Gold Cup. The first quarterfinal, first knockout stage game. Means both these sides have to be weary of expending all their energy at risk of seeing 30 minutes added to the clock. Laren, Martinez, Laren once more, step in Pedro Miguel. At the feet of Budiev. Roldan for Laren. Did spend a few years on the payroll Tigres. Ball forward, Roldan. Tamakis bouncing. Barsham gratefully. What a second half this has been. El Salvador toothless, but with possession in the first half. A brutal midfield mistake from Darwin Seren opens the door. 2 minutes in, Qatar led. 6 minutes later, a wonder strike from Abdul Aziz Hatim. Into halftime, 2-0. A penalty in the 55th seemed to be the end for El Salvador. And they're currently attempting to orchestrate one of the great miracles in Gold Cup history. Good effort to maintain here. An attempt to flick on. It's half-hearted from Monterosa. Recovered at midfield by Laren and now rolled on. Moreno with Hassan trotting off the back line at his backside. Collision sees play continue. Laren pursues. Pedro Miguel kept it in. Roro beyond Seren. The attempt at hold-up play taken away momentarily. Martinez still, and now Laren allows it back to Gonzalez. Hugo Perez said it was God's favor. Said he's not that intelligent a person, but the change in attitude, style, and determination, perhaps earlier than El Salvador had even anticipated. He talked about hard work, about patience, about the suffering of many years. It was hard work that created the second goal. It was individual brilliance that orchestrated the first. El Salvador is 1 goal away from potentially reaching a second extra time in their Gold Cup history. A side that has been dominated in quarterfinals past. Their 6th appearance in the knockout stage, 4 losses and a 1-1 draw to Panama in 2011 that saw them out in penalties. They have conceded 20 goals. They have scored just 6. And yet, in this moment, anything is possible. Monterosa splits the legs of the referee and allows play down the right-hand side through Tamakis. Rolls into space and cleared away, but it's momentary. Scooped up by Matabo. Swarming Salvadoran pressure, lapses. Scooped into a pocket at midfield and dropped down by Montari. Hassan. Abdel Karim Hassan has been enlightening in this Gold Cup.
Alex, 3-4-3. You're coming to the right.
Penny for the thoughts. These players now. Changes incoming here for El Salvador. This is their final sub window. This will see Juan Carlos Portillo replace Alexander Laren. Certainly an attack-minded sub. And then Marvin Marquez will come on as well, the 23-year-old who had never capped before this tournament. He replaces Moreno. Gonzalez out to Tamakis. Slid away from Roldan. That was Abdel Karim Hassan. Came through El Sad's academy. Been there now 11 years. He was the Asian Player of the Year in 2018. Plenty of AFC plaudits. Now he's trying to do it in CONCACAF as well. El Salvador takes possession in the attacking half. Roldan. 83rd minute. El Salvador still very much alive. This, however, skips by the newly inserted Juan Carlos Portillo. Portillo playing for Alianza, the giant in El Salvador. Player who's scored over 60 goals domestically in the last 9 years, but just 4 on the international stage. This is an El Salvador side that's scored twice in stoppage time in this tournament already, but those were both cases of insurance. 96th minute against Guatemala, 91st minute against Trinidad and Tobago. The side that for the opening 135 minutes against Qatar, the 90-minute friendly in Croatia, in the first 45 minutes here lacked forcefulness. That's all gone astray in the second half. Qatar has been on their heels. And El Salvador now with 6 minutes in stoppage time, looking for that one last strike. Zavaleta. Seren. Take over again. He played on his home ground, the Houston Dynamo, earlier in this tournament. Bounces free. Hassan. Chased by Roldan. He's wiggled free. Maribel. Alheidus. A desperate clearance. Asim Maribel again. Qatar 11 games unbeaten. They've spoken about the experience and the opposition that they came here to attain. This is given away cheaply. Can Qatar make the most of it? Montari deflects out Alheidus, pirouettes, and drives the service. Gonzalez. And he'll be half-hearted in the attack for Qatar from here. This will bounce back to Gonzalez once more. Away by Al-Rawi. South Korea was the last side from AFC to play in this tournament. They did reach a semifinal. And guests have reached the final. With Qatar, the first of their kind since 2007 at the Gold Cup. Is this the moment? Roldan. Corner, El Salvador. A glance at the watch. The roar of the crowd. Monterosa. This bounces down from Rivas and gets cleared. And the header wide sends Alheidus on the run, but maintained by El Salvador. Alheidus remains down. El Salvador will attack in spite. Qatar with just 10 upright. Portillo Serves for Rivas. Seren. Up in the air, Rivas! Appeal for handball is instant. It will be a corner. Rivas seems intent on his third. The referee will hold the corner. He does have VAR available to him in his ear. The effort by Rivas. I don't know how you could argue that is a penalty. Salman saw that off his hip. Surely play will continue. Corner toward Martinez, toward Zavaleta now, and Hassan. Score now and make history for El Salvador. Monterosa wanted to go, and now he does. Monterosa, that's away. Alheidus overrun, but Qatar can counter. It's broken up for a Qatari throw into the 90th minute. Rivas goals in the 63rd and 66th. He thought he had scored an equalizer, but he hadn't even celebrated. He had the sneaking suspicion he was offside. Indeed he was. That may have been the high water mark for El Salvador. And time now is of the essence. The ball ricochets free. Muntari chases, and Zavaleta over the line at midfield. Abdullah Al-Arak awaits to check in for Qatar. He is the last change. He'll replace Hassan Alheidus. Is this the last time the captain will play in this Gold Cup? Or will he see a semifinal against either Jamaica, the Giant Slayer, or the United States in Austin on Thursday night? It was a Qatari entrance to this tournament. It was delayed nearly 2 hours in Houston due to a torrential downpour and lightning abound. Now they're just minutes away from a semifinal. And as debutantes, they could attain what El Salvador has been unable in this, now their 6th try at a knockout stage game. Into stoppage time. 7 added minutes. It's a world of time. Goal kick El Salvador. Zavaleta. The crowd approves of the 7 minutes. Will this find Rivas? It did! Rivas! And there's the save, Barsham. Corner, El Salvador. And it's off the training ground. It's whipped ahead. Barsham, a magnificent grab. Rivas has played like a man possessed. Felt like his destiny that he'd score this, and Barsham makes himself as big as he could. He stayed onside. It is Rivas. Rivas awaits, rolls. This off the bicep of Barsham from Juan Carlos Portillo. And Qatar right now feels like they can't catch a break. Finally, they've won the ball. The guest is feeling quite unwelcome now. Recovered by Seren. Rolled over by Roldan. The through ball intercepted. Hassan, who gained the captain's armband at Al Haydus's departure. He leapt into the air and the referee didn't buy it. Still only the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Really get one more chance. That was a dangerous ball picked off by El Salvador. This will get over Rivas. Monterosa chases into the back of Salman. Rivas' chance a moment ago comes on the heels of 2 goals in 4 minutes. El Salvador trying to grab a draw in the jaws of defeat. The whistle, it belongs to El Salvador. Felix Sanchez trying to will this team through the final 3 minutes. A 3-goal lead is nearly dissipated twice now. Portillo. Came off Miguel. Can Qatar solidify these last 2.5 minutes? Is there a chance or two to go for El Salvador? Finish as nail-biting as this seemed far-fetched 30 minutes ago. Driven forward, Seren. Steered away by Boudieff. Hassan came off of Rivas. Rolled on. Rivas. Hassan slides a second time. 2 more minutes. Rolled on. Header back. Kept by El Salvador. They've ceded possession now. A slide from Marquez winds it out. Throw, Qatar, 90 seconds to go. It was in less time than this that Qatar scored the opening goal. They turn this game on its head in the blink of an eye. Marquez chasing. Got a piece, Zavaleta. Referee looks on. Can Qatar break free? Somehow Montari pushes ahead. Qatar can end it. Al-Arak. This gets by Gonzalez. Precious time ticks away. Almoez Ali. He scored in the 2nd minute. Now his penalty in the 55th appears the difference. Throw, Qatar. Hassan. Taken by El Salvador. Truly, this must be it. To score now is simply miraculous. The referee glances for the first time at his watch. It's in his hands now. Rolled on. The referee looks in once more. And the full-time whistle arrives. And Qatar withstands El Salvador's late push. And these guests have moved on to a semi-final in the Gold Cup with a 3-goal lead that they protect with their lives at the end. A magnificent comeback from El Salvador comes tantalizingly short. And the future World Cup hosts turn to the man who himself willed Qatar to an Asian Cup title in 2019 to score twice more, to become the leading scorer in this tournament, and to do what El Salvador has never been able, to win a knockout stage game at the Gold Cup. What a match, and what a second half. Qatar will face either Jamaica or the United States in Austin on Thursday night. El Salvador goes out in excruciating fashion. Qatar 3, El Salvador 2.